You are watching Mount Mansfield Community Television's coverage of the Memorial Day Parade here in Underhill in Jericho. It is May 26, 2025, and it's a beautiful sunny day after a week of intense rain. We can hear the drum beats of the first group approaching at the start of the parade. The crowds are lined up, the lawn chairs, the dogs, the kids looking for candy to be tossed their way. My name is Angelike Contis. I'm the director of MMCTV, and behind the camera is Hefel. We are also going to be airing this program on WRUJ, which is a new community radio station based in Richmond, which will be online at wruj.org and on your FM dial soon at 100.5 FM, once the antenna is up and operating in the next 2 years or so. And we see the local veterans are in the lead of the parade as it approaches the end of the street. This is the Underhill and Jericho Memorial Day Parade 2025. Following the veterans, we see there's some Vietnam veterans, and we see the Mount Mansfield Lodge 26, the Free and Accepted Masons of Jericho, Vermont. Some familiar faces we see preparing food at many local events. And next is none other than the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. And we are cable casting on Mount Mansfield Community Television. You might be watching this on YouTube. If you do, please subscribe and help us to reach our 1,000 subscriber goals. We can do it without any bots. So the Underhill Jericho Fire Department is out with some of their force. They actually have a lot more volunteer members. We see the honorary chief just went by, Randy Clark, Sr. I can't compete with that horn. Just a few of the trucks of the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. Busy day for fire trucks today in the state of Vermont. And it's nice that all of this is happening in broad sunlight instead of the clouds and the rain we've seen the last few days. And there is Bob Stone from the Underhill Jericho Fire Department and also local fire marshal. And as we reach the tail end of the Underhill Jericho Fire Department, the scouts are marching right behind them. So here we have Pack 620, Cub Scouts. And they've made it almost to the end of their parade route after marching all the way from Browns River Middle School. This is the same route we see with the Harvest Market parade every fall.
My dad's close, I think. Okay. He's close to the end. He's at the very end.
Oh my goodness, it looks like this is Snowflake Chocolate's van. That's got to be some good chocolate being tossed out here. Snowflake Chocolates, of course, is one of our most beloved local businesses. And there's the owner driving. There's Sharon Winterstein. And maybe our crew just can have some chocolate that got tossed our way. The MMU Marching Band. And there's the director, Mary Bauer, leading her group.
One more time.
And the director says, one more time, let's hear it. That was pretty great, MMU Marching Band. And there's a WRUJ volunteer, Beth Esmond, standing with love and carrying a pooch. And it's the MMUUF Love Boat, and there's Evergreen Herb in the back. So that was the Mount Mansfield Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. And they're leaving a lot of bubbles in their wake. So you were watching the Underhill Jericho Memorial Day Parade 2025. And they're going pretty fast compared to the other floats, but here we have a Alpine Roofing Vermont Browns River Little League. Oh, I guess they are the underwriters. We see a lot of Little League players who are probably very busy this time of year. Local athletes keep coming. Lots of elementary school and middle school players. And it looks like the softball players have a dog that isn't fazed by the crowds, excited, probably a little thirsty by now, but doing great. I can't believe it. It looks like we have a very elaborate float coming next. I'm guessing it's a historical society because it's in the shape of the old red mill. And I believe it's Gary Irish, our local historian, driving his old car and carrying the old red mill, which probably has never been done before. Look at this Buick. I don't know what year it is, but it's pretty good looking. So Gary Irish is the star of many an MMCTV video production. He's the one who tells us all about the history of our towns, and that's the Jericho Historical Society float. Pretty amazing. And we're being transported back in time with the costumes on these folks in this old truck. It's an old Ford. And a Harley Davidson embossed Chevy. Oh, and it's none other than MMCTV board member Tim Chamberlain and his family, including their pooch in the car. Hello, Tim. We can't have a TV station without our board, and we appreciate his volunteer hours helping us at many events. Looks like we are almost at the end of our parade. I see the ambulances in the background, but we still have the Underhill Historical Society and yet another friend of MMCTV. There's Tim Durbrow, representing the Underhill Historical Society in a great little Volkswagen Bug. And there is another friend of our community. There's Kevin and Ellie Campbell driving a Corvette. Kevin's been on our MMU USD school board for a very long time, helping to make sure all your kids get their schooling. And here is none other but the Mansfield soccer group, a very small portion of this really successful group, with Emmett, the director, at the front, and lots of soccer players that keep busy in our short but intense soccer season each spring and fall. Yes, Underhill and Jericho are small enough towns that we kind of almost know everybody who's in almost all the vehicles and floats. So we're not quite at the end. It looks like we actually have some ponies and fun stuff coming up, and tractors that everyone always awaits. But before that, we have an interesting life-size ambulance and miniature ambulance whose battery has brought it all the way almost across the finish line. Essex Rescue knows how to shake things up a little bit. And this is Andy Chamberlain driving this tractor. And he's part of the Chamberlain Farm Legacy, where you can find pumpkins and strawberries and corn. And right behind the tractor we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think at least 6, maybe 6 ponies. So there's some beautiful ponies. One of them has a garland of roses. Miniature ponies making their way down Park Street. These ponies are definitely a crowd pleaser. It's the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. And you're listening to MMCTV and WRUJ, our new radio station, as we cover what is super local, which is our Underhill Jericho Memorial Day Parade 2025, and it's a gorgeous day. You couldn't ask for a better day. And we'll see you over at the green in a minute, where the talks are going to start.
Thank you all for coming out on this beautiful day. Luckily, Mother Nature decided to smile on our endeavors today, so I hope you enjoy. Before we get started, there's some people I'd like to thank for this wonderful day. They may take credit for the weather, but we'll see. I'd like to thank all the veterans present for turning out and for their service to our country. Could I ask you all to lead a round of applause for our veterans? Thank you very much, folks. I'd like to thank some of the following organizations that helped make this possible. I'd like to thank the folks at the Underhill Select Board. I'd like to thank the folks on the Jericho Select Board for helping with logistics and for getting road closures and generally helping me out. I'd like to thank the brothers of Mount Mansfield Lodge number 26 in Jericho for their constant support and wrangling behind the scenes. Brothers, thank you very much. I'd like to thank Mount Mansfield Union High School Band for turning out and representing their community. I'd like to thank the sporting teams, Browns River Little League, the T-ball, everybody, all the sports teams that came out today. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Scouts of Troop 627 and Pack 620. I'd especially like to give a thank you to the Underhill Jericho Fire Department, not only for their help, but also for their flexibility in helping out and with things that I might have forgotten, so please give them a big round of applause. Also because this is their sound system and I'm standing on their stage. I'd like to thank Snowflake Chocolates for giving people the energy to get through the parade. I'd like to thank Marge Alden, who was responsible for bringing the little horses, UVM Extension, Vermont Field Music, Fife and Drum, many others that I can't even begin to mention. Thank you to our faith organizations who turned out, and thank you to the community. As you may know, this is my first time organizing this, so I'm very grateful for your patience and your grace. So, to begin, I'd like to invite Pastor Gilles Gently of the Catalyst Church in Jericho for an invocation.
Thank you, everyone. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. Before there was a barbecue, there was a backyard or even a parade, Today, we chose to have a memorial, a day where we pause and remember the ones who gave it all. No take-backs, no headlines, just courage and sacrifice stitched into the soil of our freedom. So whether you believe in God like I do, or you're still sorting it out, I want to invite you right now to take a moment as we pause and pray. God, we remember the fallen. We thank you for the men and women who ran toward danger so we could live in freedom. We pray for the families who carry that loss every day. And we ask that you would make this more than just a parade, make it a moment that changes us. Unite this town, strengthen our bonds, and help us walk forward with honor, humility, and gratitude in our bones. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, and all gathered, will you please rise for our national anthem? Scouts, host. Please stay risen, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Now, please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Colonel Charles Post, Logistics Officer for the 158th Fighter Wing of the Vermont Air National Guard. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just to echo what Dan has said already, thanking our veterans for today, I'd also like to thank the families of our veterans, because we know when our veterans serve or have served, they don't serve alone. So for any families of the veterans that are here today, thank you for your service to our country at the same time. For many Americans, the last Monday in May marks the unofficial start of summer, a long weekend with a family barbecue or gathering of friends. For those who served in the military, Memorial Day holds a greater significance, as it commemorates the brave men and women who lost their lives defending our great nation. At the core of our military lie unique themes: the selfless desire to serve and the willingness to sacrifice to defend our nation. The origin of Memorial Day, first observed more than 150 years ago and then known as Decoration Day, was to beautify the graves in memory of those who fought and died to preserve our Union during the Civil War. The holiday's name has changed over the years, but its ideals and intention have not. It's a day all Americans should take a moment to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Memorial Day is a day for both grief and celebration, reflecting on the tragic loss of life and recounting the courageousness of their service. As President Harry Truman stated in his address to the armed forces after the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices. Because of these sacrifices, the dawn of justice and freedom throughout the world slowly casts its gleam across the horizon. The respect and admiration we give to our fallen pay tribute to their memory and the lives they lived. We do so by visiting their grave sites or placing flags, wreaths, or other mementos at memorials in our communities. But their final resting place should not be the only space we gather, share memories, or sit in quiet contemplation. To truly honor their lives, we must share their stories with others and ensure their memories live on even though they are gone. Today, we can honor and remember First Lieutenant Francis Scotty Escott. I'd like to read an excerpt of his service from the Barry-Montpelier Times-Argus publication. Escott was an aspiring writer, a student teacher at Montpelier High School, and a citizen soldier. He was also the only member of the Vermont Air National Guard to be killed in action. A Norwich graduate, Escott entered the Army Air Force in 1943 while still a senior in high school. When the Korean War broke out, Escott was living with his wife and young daughter. Escott's Guard unit was called into active duty in February 1951, and soon the young family moved to California, where he trained in F-51 Mustang fighters. He arrived in Korea on May 21st. 26 days later, after completing about 30 missions, Escott's plane was shot down. He had to fly 100 combat missions before returning home, and he was counting the minutes before he could see his family again. In one letter to his young family, Escott said, "Today is Sunday, I think," he wrote on June 2nd, 1951. "The sun is warm and toasting, and there are a few clouds in the sky, and June is bursting out all over. Makes a man happy, content, and lonely. If I were home now, we would probably hop into the Pontiac, stop to pick up a carrier of ice cold beer, and buzz on down to the beach. But I am not in California. I cannot hop into the Pontiac. I can get only lukewarm beer, and all the beaches here are not for humans to enjoy." In another letter, he tells his family he named his Mustang the Ellie Pat for his wife Eleanor and daughter Patricia. "Didn't want one of you to get slighted, so I thought the combination would keep you both from making war on me," he wrote. Escott was flying over North Korea on an armed reconnaissance mission on June 16, 1951, with 3 other members of his squadron. Following a strafing pass at an enemy anti-aircraft position, his plane was hit and began to smoke. He turned the aircraft south, but the engine quit and he crashed into the fog. His fellow pilots repeatedly swooped low over the crash site, but could not find a sign of life, according to the official casualty report. Escott was initially listed as missing in action, but in 1955, the North Koreans turned over his remains, and he was buried in Arlington National Cemetery near a huge shade tree overlooking the Potomac River. No matter where their battlefield was, the wilderness of North Korea, the mountains of Afghanistan, the deserts of Iraq or Syria, skies over Europe, islands of the Pacific, jungles of Vietnam or elsewhere, the stories of the fallen matter and need to be told. By sharing their stories, we keep their memories alive and give others a glimpse of military service that aims to inspire them and to create a better world, a stronger nation, and kinder communities. It is up to us to use the gifts secured by those who made the ultimate sacrifice to do as much good as possible and honor a debt that can never be repaid. On Memorial Day, we reflect and share the experiences of our fallen loved ones. But tomorrow and in the days that follow, we must act. Let's carry their sacrifice with us in our hearts and strive to honor their memory by being good and faithful, hopeful and strong, and committed to building a brighter future for all. As Major General John A. Logan, the leader of the Union Veterans Organization and congressman who made the case to our country that set the precedent for this holiday, he said, "Let there be no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten, as a people, the cost of a free and undivided republic. Duty, honor, country. They lived for it, and they died for it. As a nation, we must remind ourselves of the future they fought for and do our best to live up to those values in the days ahead." Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Folks, if you please, since you're already if you're not already risen, please do. Please remove your hats, cover your hearts, as we remember our honored dead, and with the playing of taps. Thank you, folks. To close out, I'd like to invite Pastor Gently for a benediction.
Once again, as we get ready to head back out to our barbecues and to-do lists and all of the things, I just want to reflect again on the weight of today. We've heard stories. It's more than just red, white, and blue. It's blood that was spilled so that we could be free. And the best way of honoring those lives isn't just waving flags. It's living lives that matter. So as we get ready to go, I want to encourage you that you may walk with boldness, speak with kindness, and live with the kind of grit that remembers where our freedom comes. God bless you. God bless this community and those who gave everything so that we could be here. Amen.
Thank you, folks. This concludes the ceremony for today. Again, I'd like to thank the community of Underhill, the community of Jericho for coming out. I'd like to encourage you, please enjoy this day and take a moment to remember our honored dead and remember community and togetherness. Thank you.
So that's the end of the 2025 Underhill Jericho Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. And this was produced by Mount Mansfield Community Television, videography by Hefel, and commentary by Angelike, Contis.